Venimos del eco santísima cruz, nosotros en la tierra adorando la cruz, patrona de mayo.
Hi everyone, this is Mambosa Sophia with my second video blog. As you know, I don't normally use videos, I normally write. I'm a writer, I'm not a speaker, but this is something that I need to get off my chest and something I need to say and get out there as soon as I can, so I'm doing a video. The video is about the spirit of division, and it's about what we as spiritual workers should be doing to combat the terrible things that are going on in the world today. Now, as spiritual workers, we see the world as not just the physical, not just the temporal. We see there being spiritual factors at play, as well as political factors, social factors, factors of the media, etc., etc. And the spirit of division is one such spirit that could be seen as affecting the way the world is today. If you're a spiritual worker or a medium or Wiccan or pagan or shaman, etc., who believes in positive spirits, works with good angels, maybe you deal with lots of angels of the light, stuff like that, you might say, no, dark spirits don't exist, it's all good, it's all light. But from a Vodouissance perspective, from the perspective of many spiritual workers, it's about balance, it's about there being one thing that has to be its opposite, because that's how we have divine balance. So if we have good spirits, if we have the Orisha, the Loa, the angels, the saints, etc., spirit guides, so on, then we also have their opposite. We have negative forces. We have spirits that do not get their power from God. We have spirits who are out not to help us, but to do the exact opposite. We have false guides. And part of our work as spiritual workers is to keep our eyes out for these and to combat these and to combat the effects of these, because they do hurt people and they do harm lives and they do cause terrible suffering. And many of our clients that come to us are actually suffering as a result of the work of these spirits. So yes, we know that they exist. It's part of our job as well to look at the wider picture. I think at this point in human history, in the history of the world, that it is trite to say, but we need to be looking beyond our personal needs. We need to be looking beyond ourselves. We need to stop just going into our prayer rooms and praying for blessings or the job that we want or healing for our family members. That's all good. But we also need to be praying for the wider picture, the wider community. We need to be calling for help for humanity or for larger groups than just ourselves, than just our family, than just our society, because we are all human. And it's not just humanity that's being affected. The animal kingdom is being affected, the nature kingdom is being affected. Many of our spirits are nature spirits. They're connected to a natural element. We have Grand Bois, who's connected to trees. We have La Sirène, who lives in the sea. We have a lot of natural or nature connected spirits. I do see that many people seem to be stuck in just working for themselves and their own needs, and I do feel that we as a spiritual community need to move on and outwards and not only ask for ourselves but others too, and that is part of our responsibility. Now there's a couple of ways that we can fight against the spirit of division, the spirit of hate, the spirit of fear in a spiritual way. There are plenty of things we can be doing politically as well, and plenty of things we can be doing in our social circles. But as spiritual workers now, this is what I'm talking about in this video blog. As spiritual workers, what can we do? Well, there are a few things we can do. Number one, and I've blogged about this before, the spiritual community needs to get its act together, and we need to do it now. There are lots of people who are seeking healing, who come to us for help, and then see the way that we as a community present ourselves in a frightened way, and they say, God, they're right, those people are crazy. Oh God, they're right, those people are evil. Because they see the tiny few who speak for us and who make us all look like fools. I'm talking about people who engage in spiritual warfare. I'm talking about people who engage in online battles, people who have huge fights in public places, people who have fights about the smallest things that are probably irrelevant anyway, people who are throwing curses and hexes this way, that way, this way, people who are jealous of another spiritual worker's client, so they try to steal them by spreading lies and slander, etc., etc. This all goes on in our spiritual community. And I do think that it's something unique to our spiritual community. I'm not trying to suggest that other religions have it perfect. They certainly don't, from my history, from my understanding, from my personal experience. But in terms of the spiritual community, the community of spiritual workers, pagans, Wiccans, etc., 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 ATRs, and so on, this is a problem that's kind of unique to us. The reason this happens, I think, there are two reasons. The first reason is that people who come, who are attracted to this work, often have personal healing that they need to do. They are harmed in some way, they need to work on themselves. That's why their spirits call them. Unfortunately, they see the power, they see the idea of the titles, they see the idea of the ranks, they see the idea of being above other people. They get power hungry, they get big egos, and they forget all about why they're here in the first place, and then they become part of the problem. The second reason I think that this happens in our community is that we as spiritual workers are more attuned to the spiritual world. We are more attuned to what's going on around us. We are people with skills and faculties that connect us to the spirits. I mean, everyone has skills, and that doesn't make us better than other people. It just makes us different to them, and they will have skills that we don't. Quite often what I see these days, and I myself am personally guilty of this in the past, is we do not have the capability to be patient. We don't have the ability to wait. We don't wait for proper training. We don't necessarily listen to our elders. We try to run before we can walk. And as a consequence, we don't have our protections in place. We don't have a strong foundation. If we don't have a strong foundation, if we don't have our protections in place, then of course what happens is we're open to attack. Then of course what happens is we're open to false guides, to being particularly affected by the spirits of division, hatred, envy, etc. And I have seen many people without proper protections who don't do their cleansings as often as they need to. And we all need cleansings, honey, no matter how pure and wonderful and spiritual and moral and good you think you are. We all need to be spiritually cleansed now and then, and usually more often than we think. But because we're not doing that, because we're not having our protections and our cleansings in place and our foundation being strengthened before we get out there and start working with other people and other clients, for God's sake, then yeah, we become victims too. So that's the second reason I think that the spiritual community suffers. So we need to be addressing that. But what could we be doing? Outside of the political sphere, outside of the social sphere, etc., what could we be doing to combat these spirits of division? Well, the first thing, honey, is to pray. And I know that sounds trite and cliche, but I mean pray. And I mean pray from the heart. And I mean pray every day, or as often as you can get in there. And the harder it is to get in there, do consider, if it's hard to get in there, is something stopping you going in there? And is that thing really what you think it is? Or are you actually being prevented from going in? Some people are going to say I'm crazy at this point, but I don't even care. I hope that at least some of you hear this and understand what I am saying, that we as spiritual workers can be prevented or feel prevented from doing our spiritual work for a reason, and that somebody doesn't want us to be in there in the first place. So fight that feeling, fight that sense of frustration. If you come down ill before you're supposed to be working spiritually, consider where that illness might come from. Do what you can. Do not be complacent. Do not give in to being lazy. Keep your spiritual work up. Keep your white candles burning. Keep your prayers to Bon Dieu, good God, Wakam Tanka, however you see the Great Spirit. Keep your prayers going. It will not only benefit you and your life personally, immediately, but it will also have a ripple effect. And encourage other people to do so. Because it's not really the done thing. It's not really in at the moment. It hasn't been in for a while to just sit with God and to just pray to God. And if you're Christian, if you're Catholic, go to church. It's just so out of fashion. Let's just deal with our spirits, right? But no, God is the source of our spirits. We need to be sitting with God, however we see God, every day. We need to be praying to our spirits and our guardian angels for help with this as well. That's the first thing I feel that we can be doing as spiritual workers. The second thing I feel we can be doing as spiritual workers is considering how we can act in the social sphere as spiritual workers. Now, many of us have to live in hiding, and I do accept that. There are many of us whose jobs would be on the line, whose family relationships would suffer if they came out of the closet what we used to call when we were in Wicca the broom closet. If you come out of that, it can cause problems in your life. So I am not saying that we should all just stand up and come out. I do think that many of us do need to come out who haven't done so before, which is why, again, I feel like I need to be doing these video blogs, and I need to be coming out in my community more, because a lot of people don't know what I do. But if we come out and if we say, look, this is what I do, this is my belief, and now I'm going to act in the spirit, in the community, the wider community, as that person, not in order to seek converts, because we don't seek converts. We know that what we do is not for everyone, but in order to show people there are people out there who work spiritually, who want to help, who want to contribute, who want to help with charitable donation, who want to help people who are in need. You, whether or not you are out, you as a spiritual worker, or as a voodooisant, or as a hunsi, or a hungan, or a mambo, or a shaman, or a pagan, or a Wiccan high priestess, or high priest, or so on and so on, you have a duty, as I've said, to act with honor and respect, but you also have a duty to be acting like that in the public sphere as well as the private sphere. It's not enough to just say, hey, I'm big high priestess so-and-so and I'm in this Societe. It's not enough to keep it in those small, tiny boundaries, and that does not serve the world. At this time, I feel we need to be serving the world beyond ourselves. We need to be serving God beyond just our individual spirits. We need to be serving the global community. And I'm not saying that this is going to go away. I'm not saying that we're going to heal it completely, but I do feel that if we all just got together and stopped bickering, and if we all just got together and got our protections and our cleansings in order, and if we all just got together and committed to a global community, a global ceremony perhaps, as Mambo Sandy has suggested recently, that we can indeed make a difference. So what are we waiting for? I'm going to leave it on that note. What are you waiting for? Please comment. Go on my Facebook, go on YouTube, whatever. Share this around. Comment on it. Criticize it if you want. I just want to get this video blog out there. I think that it's really important that we all need to be taking action. Signing out. Mambo Sophia. Thank you.